Back in May, Edward Snowden, who is currently in Russia, released several documents to The Guardian as an employee of the NSA contractor Booz Allen Hamilton. The Guardian then wrote several articles on this, and Glenn Greenwald, the writer of most of these articles, described the seriously sensitive information regarding the US and EU surveillance of its people. This angered several of the governments involved, and no doubt led to the detention of David Miranda, who is Greenwald's partner. David Miranda was detained under Section 7 of the UK Terror Act 2000, and was detained for a total of 9 hours, a time that was described by David Anderson QC, the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, as, quote, unusual. His property was also seized, and on his property were found to be the files leaked by Edward Snowden. This comes to no real surprise, considering his links with Glenn Greenwald, and Glenn Greenwald's links with Edward Snowden. In fact, if I was Edward Snowden, I would have a large network of people who was holding my information and keeping it safe. However, does the fact that David Miranda was detained under the Section 7 of the Terror Act imply that he is possibly a terrorist, and that journalists are also terrorists, and that possibly journalism can be classed as an act of terror? Does that compare 9/11 and 7/11 to the WikiLeaks scandal? Personally, I don't see it. However, the government clearly has a passion about this subject in the raid of the Guardian headquarters, in which hard drives were destroyed containing the Edward Snowden files. Alan Rusbridger, editor of The Guardian, said that while they may have destroyed the hardware, they certainly hadn't destroyed the data. The data is still out there. Government can't do anything about that. Alan Rusbridger also came under fire from the same government officials when they kept contacting him asking him to get rid of the data. In fact, he quotes one time they phoned up and he says, "The tone was steely, if cordial, but there was an implicit threat that others within government and Whitehall favoured a far more draconian approach." These same government officials a month later contacted him again and told him, quote, "You've had your fun, now we want the stuff back." This shows an implication that the UK government owns the information. If one remembers, America was the one who owned the information, as Snowden took the information from America. So that illustrates the level of collusion and collaboration between the US and UK governments. The fact that Theresa May has not commented on this further illustrates this point. But do you know who is commentating on this? Amnesty International. They said that the government's actions were petty and vindictive, which is very true. The man was carrying data, not a bomb.